The concept is to master a certain channel and figure out exactly how it works and what your audience wants to hear.
We interrupt this program to bring you this important message. Welcome to Marketing Interruption, a daily podcast powered by BlueTuskr that interrupts your day with marketing news, tips and strategies from an entrepreneur who lives and breathes marketing. Now, let the interruption begin with your host, Andrew Maff.
Hello and welcome to episode number 51 of the Marketing Interruption podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how much content is too much content, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, okay, I'm doing too much? Now, if you are part of the many attempted Gary V's of the world, you can never have too much content. And that is bullshit. You can absolutely oversaturate your market. Now, if you have the bandwidth and the team of people who can dedicate themselves solely to creating content for you or specifically for your company, then by all means, have at it. However, you can't go from A to Z. You can't go from normally posting a couple times a day or a couple times a week to now I'm going to post 3 or 4 times a day on every single channel and every channel that I can possibly think of. So Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Snapchat and Reddit and Quora, and I'm just going to, all of them, blogs, YouTube. It's just not sustainable. So I want to talk a little bit about figuring out the bandwidth and figuring out who your audience is and knowing where they are. So you don't want it. Let's assume that you're just starting out, okay? And you need to start creating content, but you assume based on these guys that are just everywhere that you also need to be everywhere. And although that concept is accurate, that you should try to be in as many places as possible, there's a difference between what they're putting out versus what you typically put out in the beginning. And then there's the other side to that. The one thing that all of them say, and even myself have always said, that you need to just start. You need to just start doing it, and then you'll start to go. The hardest part is just getting started, even if you're putting out crap. And sometimes you have to accept the fact that your content itself may not be up to the quality that you want it to be, but you have to always just strive to make it better. You can't just put out crap and then say, oh, it's crap, but I'm keeping it out as crap. Well, you need to put out quality content and put all of your efforts into one channel. So just one channel where you think that your audience is. So if your audience is, let's say, 16 to 20, TikTok is your place. It's unlikely, but let's say that's where you want to be. Or let's say you're aiming for an older audience and Facebook might be where you want to be. Or you're now in the more like 25 to 45 range and Instagram might be where you want to be. Or your product line tells you that Instagram's where you want to be or something like that. You need to do the research into where your demographic primarily is and put all of your focus into that channel. I don't care if you don't post at all on the other channels. The concept is to master a certain channel and figure out exactly how it works and what your audience wants to hear. Once you figure that out on the channel that is best for your audience, then you start to adjust and tweak and go to other channels. So figure out what your bandwidth is, what you have the capability to do, and what you have the capability to do correctly. If you think that your audience is on Instagram and you need to post 5 or 6 times a day, like say 1 or 2 original posts and then like 5 or 6 stories or something like that, if you think that you need to put out that much content, then you need to make sure that you're doing just that and you're putting out as much quality as you can. So have a nice high-end type of design to it, have some great videos, have some editing to the videos, put out quality stuff that you're proud of. And then once you can actually figure out how to use that channel to its best potential, then you start going to other channels. You don't really want to spread yourself so thin because especially the aspect ratios of all the videos that you may be creating or the designs you may be creating might not reflect as well on YouTube or reflect as well on Twitter or something like that. So it's all about knowing your bandwidth and really deciphering where you need to pull back. And then you also have to look at your entire data collection. Look at what's working. You may be putting all of your bandwidth into Instagram, but what if Google Analytics starts to tell you that you're just not driving that much traffic from Instagram? I know it's a branding play and it's a little bit different. You have to dig into those metrics as well. But we do also have to be focused on sales to a certain extent. So if you want to get into that area, you still have to make sure that you know what's working. And you have to figure out for yourself where it's working and where it's not based on your own targets. So I would say don't watch these big entrepreneur guys who are all over the place and go, okay, I need to be everywhere too, because that's not true. You can get there one day, and it makes sense when you are now scaling to a certain extent. You can bring more people onto your team that can solely base their time on just creating content. But you don't want to just go gangbusters everywhere, because then you're just going to be putting out a bunch of little bit of crap on a ton of different channels as opposed to great content on one channel. I hope that helps. That was today's episode. And the usual, rate, review, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us for today's Marketing Interruption. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. And don't forget to email marketinginterruption@bluetuskr.com with any marketing questions you'd like to have answered on the show. And head over to marketinginterruption.bluetuskr.com to catch up on past episodes. Until next time, we now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.